Yo, it's Tony. Come inside of me. Monday, ask me anything. You might be asking me, where were you last Wednesday and Friday? Well, I'm going to tell you, Wednesday, in a pit of despair, truly kind of in an emotional roller coaster of my own mortality. Um, so, what had happened was Tuesday night, my daughter was like very upset about returning to school. And she was just kind of unconsolably sad. And so then I went upstairs to talk to her. She's starting her sophomore year, and in her mind she's like, okay, well, this is my sophomore year, this is my last year of like not having to really worry, and then junior year I have to worry about colleges, and senior year I have to worry about what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, and then I have to go to college and figure out my life, and da 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 da. So like this is her narrative, and we're just really sad that summer's over because we had a nice summer together. We swam a lot. She loves swimming. She loves the warm weather. Here in New England, we have about 10 months of winter. That's what we do. We have a 10-month winter, and then 2 months of like, oh, it's kind of nice out, but we're being plagued by bugs. Um, so I go up to like, there was nothing I could say. I can't say anything that's going to take away the existential despair of growing up. But what happened was I then not only absorbed it, but also multiplied it. Like I didn't take it from her. I wasn't like, oh, let me just like take this pain from you real quick. I just happened to like also be impacted by it. And then I was like, well, why don't I just like exponentially grow this suffering? Because then I just started thinking about how she was going to move out soon, and just like the end of the closeness of her living with me, and the horror of that, and did I ever appreciate anything enough, and is it possible to appreciate anything enough? And then just really thinking of, when your kid's young and they just love you in this really complete way where they're not questioning you, and their love feels so unconditional, and it feels so healing. Like the love of a child is probably the most powerful love that you can experience. I think people kind of turn it around and they're like, I love my kid more than anything in the whole world. I know we hear that all the time. But I think what people are actually saying is like, oh, the moment where my kid loves me, that's profound. I don't even think we understand our own love towards our children, but what we understand is their love towards us, which is like, it's a love that you don't experience in any other relationship because it is so pure, and they're not judging you because they're a kid. They don't know to judge you yet. But guess what? They will. They'll grow up and they'll learn to judge you. And then that's that. And then that love is gone. It's replaced with a different kind of love. It's not like my kid doesn't love me, but it's not the same love where like she found a home in my arms, or it's just different. And I think love always changes. Even romantic love, we know that changes. And it's like, oh yeah, full of lust, the lust machine. And then it turns into something different. Not that you can't still enjoy fucking your partner, I'm sure you do, but the lust you felt in the beginning, it does not sustain. It like grows for a while and then something else happens. Like I think the same thing happens with a child. It's like their pure love morphs, and they're like, okay, you're a person, and their interest in themselves also grows, and their disinterest in you grows. So I go up there and I just kind of am like hearing her out. I don't try to solve her problems when she's like this, because there is no solution to the existential crisis of mortality and growing up. And my daughter does not like growing up. She's never liked growing up. She's always kind of resisted it. She hasn't even lost all her teeth. She's 15. She still has like a lot of baby teeth in that mouth of hers. And then she has like one grown-up tooth that came out, and the baby tooth just like moved to the center of the roof of her mouth, and now it's just like a shark tooth that's just like in the center of her mouth. And I'm like, we should probably do something about it. And she's like, I don't want to. And I'm like, respect. What am I going to do? Go force her to have some satanic dentist rip this out of the roof of her mouth. I mean, y'all know me with my dentist. And if you're a dentist and you listen to this podcast, I apologize. Maybe you can be the one to change my mind. But so, long story long, I just felt like I never appreciate life enough. And then like the sadness of my daughter growing up, and then the horror of like this transforming love. And then I was also like, well, you know what? I've given y'all 30 podcasts, and like I'm gonna play hard to get. Maybe you're not always gonna get me. How about that? That's kind of why I didn't come back on Friday. I could have, but I was like, nah, man, I'm gonna play hard to get. So if you want this podcast, you're gonna have to tweet about this podcast. I don't even know if anyone's on Twitter anymore. You're gonna have to share it. You're gonna have to tag me. You're gonna have to write in your questions. You're gonna have to write me emails of affirmation. Guess what? You're gonna have to go over to that Patreon, because I'm gonna have to see the support. I've been doing this now. It was an experiment to come inside of me and to allow you to come inside of me to see what happened if I just did this podcast. I didn't like plan it very well. Y'all knew that. I just kind of was like, I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna go labia to the floor podcast. So if you want it to continue, I'm gonna have to see that from you. I'm gonna have to see it from you. I'm gonna play hard to get, and we're gonna see how y'all respond, because I can't just do things into the abyss. Some of you are supportive, but I think the support needs to magnify, much like my suffering magnified. I haven't really gotten over it. And then I started being like, wait, should I like have another kid? Then that's where my mind went there. I'm like, oh yeah, if I had another kid, I would like fully appreciate every moment with the other kid, you know? But I know that's not true. And also, it would be really hard to like have another kid because of the sleep thing. And then I also like want to spend time with my first kid, and then I'd be like consumed with the second one. And then also it's like the pregnancy and the nipples hurting, and then the birth and oh my goodness. So I don't think having another kid is the answer, but like I want to relive my life again. This is what I keep telling my daughter. I want to do you, like I want to live you again and like appreciate it more and completely. Okay, so that's where I'm at. We have a question today, so let's get into it. I only grazed it as I do, so I don't really know what it says, but it looked interesting. Hey, Tony, listening to your podcast, I see my old self in you. I used to have hella opinions, be very confident in my own vibe, and upbeat and excited to talk and share. Okay, remember, this is Ask Me Anything Monday. This is an email that someone sent me looking for advice. And I like how they portray me, but I also was not clear where they were going. Like when they said, I see my old self in you, I was almost like, they're like, oh, but I've matured and now my old self, and now I'm a better version of me. And so step it up. But I don't think that's what they're saying, but that was what I feared. But then I kept reading and I was like, oh, okay, I think this is going to be okay. And then they go on to say now, and then there's like skulls, skull with the eyes upset. And then why? Multiple question marks, many factors. But here's the gist of my email. I'm a lesbian and started dating a woman 10 years ago who has extreme sexual trauma and incestual childhood abuse. Whew. We've had sex together maybe 5 times in the past 10 years, and those 5 times were horrible. That's upsetting. About 4 years into this relationship, I started having an affair. Fire emoji, fire emoji, fire emoji, fire emoji, fire emoji, fire emoji. Yeah. Fuck. It was good. But I mean, it was an affair with a woman married to a man while she was hiding in the closet. It's actually the perfect person to have an affair with. 1 year ago, I ended things with her so that she would come out of the closet because she was having obligatory grape sex with her oblivious husband for 18 years and could not stomach knowing that I was complicit in that anymore. Ooh, this email has so much to unpack. It was a lose-lose situation. Skull emoji, skull emoji, skull emoji. Meanwhile, my intention was to see if I ended the affair, could my primary partner and I get closer? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Yeah, we got closer. But it feels parental. these emojis are upset. It's like a green crying emoji. The way she walks up the stairs bothers me. The way she juices for me in the morning makes me angry. Everything she does feels robotic and unemotional and unfeeling and just pushes me away further. She's very sweet, caring, loving, and all the good shit, but my body knows it's wrong. Multiple G's. I'm slowly dying. I can feel it. My soul, emotions, thoughts, freedom of expression, my sense of purpose, my sense of self. I feel none of this in this relationship. So I guess what I'm asking is, should I just keep doing what I'm doing and enjoy the ride? Then there are just an array of emojis. One is like a floating human floating down to the earth. There's crying, there's thinking, there's upset, there's the horror, there's the clown, back to the skull, brain exploding. Um, there's so much here. But first of all, thank you for sharing this email with me. I think it's really cool that someone shares themselves with me and with you. And so I do really appreciate that on the deepest level, because I think affairs are very, very common. We all know affairs are very, very common. And I would like to start off with like taking the morality and like the judgment out of it, especially if you're someone who's been cheated on. A lot of times when we've been cheated on, we're very like unforgiving about the complexity of an affair. We're like, no, because we've experienced the pain of being on the other side of being cheated on. So I'm not asking you to like not feel pain for what you've experienced, but what I am asking of you, if you have this like immediate knee-jerk reaction because this has happened to you, is to open up your mind and heart and spirit, because I think we have to understand that affairs are complex because the motivation of an affair is complex. I'm a little more judgy of a man having an affair on a woman. Patriarchy, okay? So I think when a man has an affair on a woman, we have to really look at what's going on in the relationship in order for me to like get on board with his perspective. Not saying it's impossible. It is possible. I can get on board with someone's perspective if it's like thought through and the logic is logicking. But when a man has an affair on a woman because he's like degrading his woman in the box of femininity and then basically bored by her submission, so then goes to have an affair in order to create some mental stimulation for himself, not into that. When subjugation is part of an affair, when oppression is part of an affair, when controlling is a part of an affair, that is something to unpack with the individual versus the relationship. This personal affair that we're witnessing in this email seems relational. It doesn't seem like this person is just like, I'm a Casanova, like, no, they're in a desperate situation with someone who they feel very obviously emotionally obligated to. And so they're trying to negotiate the obligation they feel to their partner and the desire that they have within their own body to have a meaningful sexual relationship with someone. So let's look at it like that, okay? I don't see this person as exploiting their partner by having an affair. I see this person as trying to save themselves by having an affair. However, the problem is the secrecy, right? We all can see that the problem is the secrecy of what's happening. And this is because this person has codependent personality disorder. Respect, as do I. But people with codependent personality disorder result to lies often because you are afraid of your truth and you are afraid of the reaction of your truth, and a lie seems safer. This is something that was a coping mechanism that began 100% in childhood, where you were negotiating and navigating either a volatile sibling or a volatile parent. And it really can be either. Wherever you felt like the emotional responsibility was on your shoulders to make someone else happy, that is going to like lay the path for codependent personality disorder. Which again is different. Codependency in a relationship where I need to do everything with you, we're one merged being, is not the same thing as codependent personality disorder. And I'm not one to pathologize. I don't like a pathology. But the people pleaser, this is something that like I think comes from a place of having to negotiate and navigate truth, right? That's what I think it is. It's like a fear of your truth. It's a fear of your truth. And that's why lying is the stepsister of people pleasing. You cannot be a people pleaser and not lie. And the lies range from no, that's cool. No, I'll take you to the airport. No, it's totally fine. Just lying about how you feel about something versus lying about what you're doing. Which is also what she's really doing is she's lying about what she's feeling, and then what she's doing is just like because she's lying about what she's feeling. So when you have an affair, when you're like, it's like I don't see this coming from like a purely selfish place. I see this coming from this person wanting to protect her partner. But this is the problem with people pleasing, and this is the problem with codependent personality disorder, is that you think that being with you is better than letting someone go or letting someone know the truth so they can make an informed decision, right? So there is like, I'm not going to say self-centeredness, but it kind of is. I am going to say it. And again, I've done this. I have done this. This is not coming from a place of like, you're self-centered, but it's like, you feel like people are so dependent on you that you like have to let them be with you, which isn't true. Not that you're not providing a great value for this person, but they can find another person to provide that value. Like you're not irreplaceable, and I think that's something that was like actually really helpful for me because it started to like pull off the pressure. But a lot of times the relationships I've felt that like I feel this pressure and the person is saying, you're the only one I can talk to. You're the only one I can open up to. You're the only one that knows me. So there's a dynamic at play where someone is like insisting that like I am the only one that gets them, which is like furthering my feeling of responsibility. I'm like, oh God, I'm the only one that gets them. Oopsie doopsie. But that's just not true. We're both operating from a place of fear, okay? So I think that's important to understand. So, okay, the partner who has had sexual abuse is having a hard time in the bedroom. That makes sense. I don't think we're like confused about that. I don't even think that the email writer is confused. Like, why would they be doing this? I don't think the email writer is taking it personally, which I enjoy, but it's not sustainable. So, I mean, I think this is the problem with the sexual trauma, right? Is that it happens in this sacred space of what should be pleasure, joy, transcendence, intimacy, right? It happens. This is why I think it's like, it's so, and I think it happened to her in childhood, right? So this is why I write a show, Grape Culture. Please go see it. Boston, Philly, coming to Seattle and Portland, okay, in November. So the tickets will go on sale for that in a little bit. I'm still waiting for ticket links, but it's on sale for Boston September 11th, and then the last weekend of September for Philadelphia. I think that's the weekend of the 26th or something. And there's 3 nights of Grape Culture there. But the fact that like a grown woman is still negotiating and navigating the sexual trauma since childhood should indicate like how insidious it is. And we have to just like have more in place and more discussions and more, I think, work around this type of healing. I'm 100% this person can heal from the sexual trauma. I am never going to diagnose someone as like, oh, well, that's this life for you. You'll probably never enjoy sex for the rest of it. Well, good luck. Haha. See you in the next life. No, that's incredibly short-sighted and cruel. But this woman who's experienced this trauma that has not healed, that's got to be her first priority. It can't be a relationship because she's not going to be able to be in a intimate relationship until this part of her. And again, we all know healing is cyclical, but healing must happen where she's in a different sexual dynamic with someone. And having obviously sex 5 times in the last 10 years is indicative of like a major sexual aversion and avoidance, okay? So work has to be done. And my biggest advice to the email writer is that it ain't gonna happen with you. I'm sorry. No. If it were, it would have. Not to say that your relationship can't transform. Obviously, you're friends with this person. Obviously, you care for them deeply. Obviously, you are close. And none of that has to change. But the romantic relationship is not there, and holding on to it is actually just putting pressure on the both of you that is detrimental to the long-term dynamic. So no, 100% you must get out of this relationship from a romantic standpoint. But I think there has to be the transition of how one goes from romantic to friendship. And you have to be willing to be open to the fact that she may not want that. And that's upsetting, but there has to be a certain amount of trust that if she did want that, she'll come back. Now, here's the question of, do you tell her about the affair? This is my personal opinion, okay? This is my personal opinion. You are welcome to have strong opinions about it. I think she already knows. I think we all know. I don't believe in lies. Even though we tell lies, lies happen. I don't believe in them. I genuinely think we all know everything. And if you're choosing to believe a lie, it's because you want to. This is a controversial statement that many people will be offended by. And I'm really not trying to offend you. I have been lied to, and I can go back and be like, yeah, like I felt something. I felt the lie, especially with like business partners. For me, I've been lied to more about business partners than lovers. The only lover that lied to me, I kind of felt it and like went through his email and was like, oh, here you go, lie, here you are. So whenever you have the urge to go through someone's email, do it. This is some strange advice, or say, I have the urge to go through your email. Let's do it together, because I know something is happening. So I don't want you to delete anything. Let's go through the email together at this here and now moment. Let's actually face this. I need to. There's ways to go through an email together. But if you think someone is cheating, but sometimes people are paranoid. This is the problem. You could be paranoid, but I don't know, man. Trust is hard. Trust is hard. If you're the one who thinks, if you're a paranoid person, we're going to have to go through that, because paranoia is really upsetting because it means you can't trust your own intuition. Paranoia is really upsetting. That's a different podcast. If you're paranoid about things that like don't end up being true or might be true or like is driving you banana pants, but not so, please send an email about that. But if you're not paranoid and your intuition is telling you something, usually it is correct. So I think that the email writer's partner, I'm going to call the email writer fire emoji. I think fire emoji's partner knows that you've cheated. You can tell if you want. If you're like, I can't hold this, but they're not. Fire emoji isn't even asking, should I tell? They don't seem too concerned. That's how I know, like a genuine people pleaser is like, no, thank you. But they say it themselves. I'm slowly dying. I can feel it. This person needs to get out of this relationship. So the other reason is that like people have affairs because sometimes you can have an affair and it could actually save your marriage or save your relationship, because you might be going through like a rough patch. And again, if you're like the people pleaser and you're going through a rough patch with someone and they're not growing and they're not listening, you might have to just like have an affair because you're the people pleaser and you need to be pleased. And then your partner might get out of their rough patch and like start changing and start growing. And then you might feel less of an urge to do the affair, and then the marriage can continue. That can happen, But I don't see that with this particular one, because I think they said it themselves, like, I'm slowly dying. So this is the other thing, is like when someone physically disgusts you, when like your body like recoils at them, I feel two things. I feel that like in this particular instance, I am kind of curious if like that is what the partner also feels, are recoiling, because of the sexual trauma. So I'm wondering if fire emoji is like getting kind of a telepathic imprint of like, oh, this is what my partner feels. And that maybe when they're like having the sexual relationship, the reason why she said it was horrible is because fire emoji, people pleaser, codependent is like also feeling the partner's emotions because they're open and like it's not good. It's not safe. It's not, there's a recoiling that's happening. So I also do wonder if that's what's happening, if that's why like the sexual connection is so horrible, is because it's rooted in this like now shared experience of this past person's trauma. And I wonder sometimes like when we have really bad experiences, is there a feedback loop of like one person's experience that is kind of like taking center stage? Because I think if both people are having a good time, then it's exalted, right? I think the best sex that you have is when it feels like not only like enthusiastically consensual, but there is like both parties are equally invested, and therefore again there's like exponential growth. So that's like going to be like really exciting sex. I think when the balance is slightly off, like one person's more into it than the other, that's like the more like mediocre, like, oh, okay, da 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 da. It's when there's the merger of energy that's of equal playing field. I think that's when things like patoo, patoo get really like fireworky. And that can happen within a long-term relationship. The timing, has got to be like really on point, but that can happen. So I think what fire emoji was feeling was the partner's trauma response. And then they didn't really like know how to like untangle their own, they weren't into it enough to like take the person out of their trauma response. They instead just like fell into this like recoiling. I think that the recoiling and the disgust. So this is why this sexual relationship I do not see happening in this here now moment. Maybe the partner could go off and like do a lot of healing and be with some other people, and you guys could come, or you two could come back together in another time if that's something you want. But I don't think so. I think this is a friendship, a deep friendship that is powerful and meaningful, and maybe also over. I don't know. I don't know if the friendship is over. Oh, I'm podcasting. Someone just came in. Just there she goes podcasting again. So those are my thoughts. It's funny how they asked, should I just keep doing what I'm doing and enjoy the ride? The other thing you could say, and this is like another option, is like, hey, we could keep living together. We are connected. I want to be your friend. I'm here for you, but I'm going to have sexual relations with other people. And you could be in a non-monogamous relationship that's open. That's also a possibility if you wanted to try there. But I think you need to live on your own, and I think you need to be on your own so you can pursue a relationship that has the sexual element and the friendship and the love and all the things you are looking for and deserve. I want to just talk about the one more point before I close, is that they said it felt parental. I've definitely been in this dynamic before where I become someone's mama. This happens for me. It happens in relationships, it's happened in friendships. And when you become someone's mommy, things get really messy. You get resented when you're someone's mommy. And then also when you're someone's mama, they kind of rebel against you. There's a lot of resentment. You resent them for like making you mommy, and then they resent you for being mommy, and then they also resent how they depend on you as mama. Yeah. So, oh, also we have to talk about the lesbian lover who was having obligatory grapey sex with her oblivious husband for 18 years. Bummer. You should send them the podcast I said about graping the self. Maybe that would be helpful. Um, yeah, I hate that for them. But again, this is all about being honest with yourself. If the lover was honest with herself about being a lesbian and wanting to be with women, she would not be having this like grapey sex with her husband who is oblivious, like just does not know his wife is a lesbian. Maybe he's not curious enough. Maybe he's not asking the right questions. I'm not even going to blame him. Maybe she's also, I mean, this is the danger of being a codependent people pleaser. This is a dangerous role. It is not safe. This is why this is something that like needs to be talked about, needs to be addressed. I think that like culture kind of glamorizes the people pleaser because you're easy to get along with, but it's very dangerous. And I think it's dangerous for others too, because also this husband is also not having a good time because he's not having the great sex because he's with someone who's a lesbian who isn't attracted to him. So he's also missing out. This is why people pleasing is dangerous for everyone involved. It's like there's the self-denial that's happening that's dangerous for you, but there's also the denial of the other person and their humanity because you're afraid, you know? So I think this is all about a lesson of like being really honest about who we are and abandoning the fear that who we are is a problem even if someone else can't accept it. And I know it's really difficult, especially when we talk about homosexuality, because it can be dangerous to be homosexual. You can be murdered for it, but you can also be murdered for being a woman. And you also can be murdered for being an immigrant. Ice Ice Baby can come murder you and traffic you and send you to a war zone. So guess what? Sadly, like life is dangerous and all identities, except for if you're a white male billionaire. Oh, but now people are going pew pew. So life is dangerous. Let's just accept that we're all going to die, which is kind of goes back to the beginning of the pod where I was feeling this like deep horror that basically I was going to die and I hadn't appreciated life enough. Sick. So yeah, I am going to die. Better appreciate life as much as I can by not living a lie. But not living a lie to yourself is the freedom of not also boxing the person you're lying to with you. You know, it's like you kind of put you both in a box of like, neither of us really want this, but let's just keep going. Because I think it's like actually the kindest thing we can do is just be like, hey, this isn't who I am. Even though it's scary because you will be rejected. If you're like, hey, whoever you thought I was, it's not who I am, you're going to get rejected. Whether they come to accept you again later, I can't guarantee, but you're going to be rejected. The first reaction is going to be, oh, I fuck you, you know, I reject you. It's not going to be like, oh, cool, because you would have never lied to this person if you didn't have to. You didn't feel like you have to. Like, that's the other thing. That's why I do want people who are lied to take a certain amount of responsibility, that you're creating a scenario where someone feels like they have to lie to you because they don't want to like destroy you. And you have to be open to the truth in order for people to feel comfortable telling you the truth. And I think when we can kind of see that more like symbiotic, I think that like truth it's not so much like a moral thing. You know, like I remember I had this one boyfriend who's like, I can't tell a lie. I can't tell a lie. I have to tell the truth. It's because your mother allowed you to tell the truth, my dude. It's because she accepted your truth and didn't punish you. Or you weren't afraid of her. When you're afraid to tell the truth, you don't. That's what, you know, you're not like better because like I can never lie. No, you just like had parents who let you tell them the truth. That's the only difference. So I think when we act as if like there's this like huge moral compass around those that lie and those that don't, it really has to do with parenting. I think that lying is a defense mechanism because of parenting. So that's that. Even though lying is problematic, I'm not saying it's not. As someone who like had to really negotiate and navigate how not to lie throughout my life, I've gotten to a point where it's like so much better. It's so much better. I can't even believe how much it's improved, you know? At one point I was like, "Oh dear, this seems like it's my personality." And then it just wasn't. So, okay, I thank you so much for sharing your email with me. Get out of the relationship. I do not like that you said you're slowly dying. You only have one life to live, and it's not with this person. Although you can still be there for them if they will have you, but you can't save this person. I've said this before and I will say it again. I think it's the smartest thing I've ever said, so I'm going to say it multiple times. You cannot digest another person's food. You cannot digest another person's emotions. You cannot do the healing for this person. I have nothing but compassion for your partner that's experienced abuse. Nothing but compassion and love for them. But that doesn't mean that you can save them. You have been there for them, and you can continue to be there for them if they want it. But it's time for you to move on. Your body knows it's wrong with 5Gs. All right. I love you all dearly. If you want me, you gotta show me that you want me by supporting the Patreon, coming to my shows in Boston and Philly, sharing the podcast, tagging me in your shares, rating the podcast, reviewing the podcast. Have you rated and reviewed the podcast? I don't even know. I don't even know where to find those things, but I'll figure it out and I'll find it. But I think if you rate and review it, it's good. If you recommend it, if you send it to friends. I mean, like, you're not dumb. You know what to do with a podcast. Like, I'm 100% sure you do. So if you value it, like, I need to see it. I need to see how you value it. All right, I love you. Wait, did I say Patreon? Yeah. Oh yeah, and book a one-on-one session with me. Hello. Book a one-on-one session for somatic movement or creative coaching. They're really good. Okay, I've never had anyone complain. They're always feeling pretty good at the end. I would know if they were upset, you know? Okay, I love you. Bye.